Okay. Hi everybody, this is Cliff with the local Angler magazine, and I wanted to do a little segment on Baitcast reel basics. Okay. I printed this paper out and I wanted to show you guys kind of the different features of a Baitcast reel. And I'd like to start with talking about Quantum. Quantum makes several line of spinning reels and Baitcast reels. This is actually a React, which is the one I have. I have two of these, which I really enjoy. This is a black and white photo of the actual reel, but I kind of wanted to go over some things with you. If you're a first-time buyer of a Baitcast reel, this video should help you. The first thing I want to cover is the spool. Okay, the spool is the line comes through this hole right here and out along your rod like this. Okay, and it goes through that hole and it wraps around this spool. What I do is when I grab my line, I'll thread it this way first, and then if you see these holes, this is not a really good picture, but it's good enough to get the idea. There's holes like this one all through the reel spool. What I like to do is I like to just push the line through to the other side, hold it kind of gently, and give the crank a couple of turns, and it will lock it into place, so you don't have to really tie it off. Or another thing I like to do is just push the line through first and then tape it like right here with the piece of tape. Okay, like a small piece of tape. Okay, the spool reels this way like this. Okay, actually like this, and then around like this, and that's how it goes on and off the reel. It's obviously, if you look at it, that's pretty obvious of what the actual spool does. Baitcast reels are for the people use Baitcast reels for a couple of reasons. The first reason is for trolling. This Baitcast reel started as a saltwater feature, saltwater reel. You can hold a ton of line on it, and it started out for big saltwater trolling on the bottom, and then it went to freshwater, and you'll see people that troll for like big trout and stuff, or trout. They use these type of reels, but they use the ones that are kind of more round spool, like not necessarily. This is what they call a low profile, and that is because you want your hand, when you're grabbing it, to kind of grab it like this, and you want to cradle it in your hand. Okay, that's what this is called. This basically, you use this for like fishing for muskie or smallmouth bass or largemouth bass. Okay, people when they buy these reels, either they don't know why they're bought it because it looked cool, or they're buy it because they want to try to learn how to use it for bass fishing or muskie fishing. And so I kind of wanted to go over the basics. Okay, so let's start. The reel is this part here. I showed you that, and this is where the line comes out. Okay, this is the worm drive. This little bar right here, it's called the worm drive, and what happens is when you crank the handle, this little middle part here is on this worm drive, and it goes back and forth like this when you're cranking it. Okay, and what that does is it distributes your line evenly on the reel, on the spool. Okay, when you're buying a reel, what you want to keep in mind is a couple things. First of all is the gear ratio. This number right here where it says 661, okay, that means that every one crank that you turn this handle, the spool rolls around 6.6 times. So this spool turns 6.6 times for every one revolution of the reel, okay, of the crank. Okay, there's 3 different adjusters on this reel. The first one that I want to talk about is the one that looks like a star. It's this one right here. Okay, this right here is your drag system. The tighter it is, the harder it's going to be when the bail is set. The harder it's going to be to pull the line out. Okay, so you want to keep this about 5 pounds of pressure. So you want the star to be about 5 pounds of pressure. Okay, you want that to be about 5 pounds of pressure, because basically, if you're catching a fish on this thing and it starts pulling and stuff, you don't want this really, really tight. You want to be able to tire the fish out and enjoy the fight that you have. And so I have about 5 pounds of pressure, and how I test that out is I just kind of grab the line and I pull on it. And if I pull about 5 pounds of pressure, I'll know I'm setting it just about right. I've met people that set this really, really tight, and it's because they didn't know what they're doing. And some people set it really loose, and they don't really know what it's for. So that's your basically your drag. Okay. The second adjustment is your free spool adjustment, which is, I call it your brake. Okay. People call this your brake, and this is that little dial right here. Okay. This little dial adjusts your brake. So when you push your release button, which is this part right here, the spool's going to release and just fall free, like a free fall. Like your bait's just going to fall, your lure's going to fall right to the ground. Okay, this adjusts how fast it falls. So basically, if you're doing a lot of overhand casting, you want this fairly loose, but you don't want it so loose that your spool, after your bait hits the water, is going to keep turning. So you want to adjust it like a tiny little click. And what I do is, when I first tie my lure on, I adjust this kind of tight, and then I push the button and let it go. And then if it doesn't fall, or it slowly doesn't fall, then I loosen this one little click. And then I'll loosen it again, one little click. And I'll loosen it one little click until eventually this slowly starts falling, like moving. Your spool slowly starts moving. Okay? And so when you give that thing an overhand cast, you're going to want to give it a good huck. You don't want this thing woo spinning up on you really, really fast, and you'll have a big, huge, what they call a rat's nest. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why people sell these on eBay a lot, because they don't know how to use them. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to do this video. Okay, the third adjust is what we call the magnets, or I call it the fine adjust. That's what I call it, the fine adjust. It basically manages this one. So this one is your main set. So when you push the button, how slow you want it to fall, or how light you want it, how fast you want it to fall, and then once your bait hits the water, these inside of here is magnets, and the tighter you go, the less chance this is going to backlash or cause a big backlash. Okay, so I call this part right here the brake. Okay, this part right here, the spool. Okay, and this is your magnets, or your fine adjust. Okay. Now, if you know those three things and what the purpose of them, I forgot to put on there, and the drag. Okay, and this is your drag. Okay, if you know how these work, it'll take you about probably, I would say it'll probably take you about 6 months to master this reel, but you'll get to the point where you love it. Now, if you've heard of the term flipping and pitching, that's what this reel is for. It's very accurate. So once you push your button down right here, you're going to use your thumb as the brake, and your thumb's basically going to ride on that spool. It's going to ride on that spool, and you're going to gently touch your line like this. And as it's falling, or as you're casting, you're always going to keep it right there, and that's going to be your natural brake. And so when you're flipping and pitching, you use your thumb a lot. You push the button down, your brake is set really, really loose, and you use your thumb as the brake. Okay. Now these quantum reels are actually really, really good quality. I believe this is a 10-ball bearing reel. And that means there's bearings in here, there's bearings on this side, and there's bearings on this side. Okay. And then there's bearings on the outside there. Okay. That comes in a left and right-handed model, depending on what your flavor is. And it's basically an all-around good reel for bass fishing. It's a good starter reel. So I'd highly recommend, once you're starting, is to use and get one of these quantum reels. These are great little reels, and that's basically what I wanted to cover today. Is kind of the 4 different things and what they mean, and the worm drive here, and that's it. So I hope you guys have a great year this year on the water, and we'll talk to you later.